Mr. Chairman, this is Teresa. Staff is ready to begin when you are.
All right, thank you, Teresa. We'll call to order the Design Review Board meeting for the town of Hilton Head Island for Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. Are we in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act?
Yes, sir, we are.
All right, thank you, Teresa. Would you please call roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Lippert?
Here.
Mr. McAllister?
Here.
Mr. Karstens? Ms. Remke? Ms. Remke, are you in attendance? I do see Ms. Remke is on the line. We'll note her as in attendance for right now.
Okay.
Mr. Molesky?
John, you're muted.
I do see Mr. Molesky is in attendance. We'll note that as such.
Okay,
And then Mr. Gentleman.
I am here. All right.
And Ms. Foss is excused from today's meeting.
All right, thank you, Teresa. Move on to approval of agenda. Does staff have any changes to the agenda?
No, sir, not at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. So board members, if you have any changes to the agenda, please state them when called upon by Teresa. Otherwise, please vote yes or no to approve the agenda. Teresa?
Mr. Chairman, may we have a motion and a second for the agenda, please?
Oh, wait, did I mess that up? I sure did. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I was just sorry. I was just reading the outline. Is it Monday morning or Tuesday? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Thank you, Mr. McAllister. We have a motion for approval of the agenda as submitted. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Ms. Lippert. Now, Ms. Teresa, would you please call roll?
Certainly. Ms. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Molesky?
Here.
Mr. Molesky, do you approve the agenda?
The whole time I couldn't hear anything. It's because I had headphones that were plugged into the back of my computer, and I'm wondering what was going on, and that's what it is. So I apologize. And yes, I do approve, and yes, I am here. And vanilla with chocolate icing, if I missed that question too earlier. Thanks.
Yes, sir. We got it. Thank you. Mr. Karstens?
Yes.
Ms. Remke?
Yes.
Mr. Gentleman?
Yes, all right. Looks like we got all the bugs worked out here, including mine. Okay, so let's go on to approval of minutes from the meeting of April 27th, 2021. May I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes for April 27th, 2021?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the April 27th, 2021 meeting as submitted.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. McAllister. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Molesky. Ms. Teresa, would you call roll? And again, board members, please vote yes or no when you are called upon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. McAllister?
Yes.
Mr. Molesky?
Yes.
Mr. Karstens?
Yes.
Ms. Remke,
Yes.
Mr. Gentleman.
Yes. So meeting minutes are approved unanimously. Citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments, Teresa?
No, sir, we do not.
All right. Thank you very much. So on to new business. Alteration addition of Way Food Hall Facades DRB 001076-2021. Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The intent of this project is to modify the existing facades to the left of Planet Fitness, which is a vacant tenant space at 95 Matthews Drive. Currently, there is a Planet Fitness occupying the central tenant space and a recently approved AutoZone occupying the right tenant space. So again, the AutoZone is to the right of the Planet Fitness, and we're now looking at the space to the left of the Planet Fitness. This application looks to develop the north and east facing facades for a new food hall concept that is to include 4 restaurants. The proposed modifications to the north facing facade are minimal in nature. A previous DRB submittal saw the approval of a small raised sign parapet that mirrors what was provided for AutoZone, as well as, and we'll look at that approval, as well as a central storefront door with a section of storefront windows on either side. This submittal proposes to add one more section of storefront for a total of 2 on the left side of the entry door. A second window was not added to the right due to the location of the adjacent tenant's demising wall. The proposed modifications to the east-facing facade are substantially different from what was proposed previously. And consist of a large shared glass fenced patio running the length of the facade with an awning structure supporting retractable awnings and requiring the demolition of the existing gazebo structure on the site. Additionally, a large amount of glazing is proposed along the facade to blur the line between indoor and outdoor dining spaces. Jiva Sushi would see its main entrance along the north facade. However, the remaining spaces would be entered off the east facade. So again, the north facade is the same facade that Planet Fitness is on, and the east facade faces the larger parking lot. All finishes are of a natural color palette and match exactly the finishes currently in use on the remainder of the shopping center. Staff recommends approval with the following conditions. 1, provide a dimensioned site plan. 2, provide physical color samples for the awning structure. And 3, revise the landscape plan to add trees. Staff received a revised landscape plan on May 7th that was forwarded to the full board for y'all's review. I apologize, I do not have a location map at this time, so we'll go right into the site. So you can see here, this is the corner. This is the east-facing facade, and the north-facing facade is on this side. Again, the east facade with that gazebo structure that will be demolished. And that's looking back towards the balance of the shopping center. And you can see that east facade on the right. So just to be clear, this is the landscape plan that was approved. And you can see the revised entrance features here that were approved at the last meeting this was at. And you can see the landscaping and streetscape that has been installed, for the most part been installed, and was approved at that same meeting. Just again, continuation of that landscape into the existing. So you can see here the building, again, Planet Fitness is in the middle, AutoZone here, with the new We Foods here. A site plan, again, the gazebo is gone and the patio is installed here with a sidewalk here and the planting area between the sidewalk and the patio. Another site plan. Existing building conditions. Again, that gazebo that'll be demolished here. And you can see the addition of the windows to the facade here and the doors. And the second window added here. So here you can see the retractable awning structure in plan view, as well as how the interior space will be divided up. Again, the existing improvements here to this entrance here with the awning structure. Elevations on the east side, so you can see the supports for that awning structure running down this facade. You can see what it looks like there, sort of looking down. And up here, you're looking straight on at the north facade. This was approved at your earlier meeting. Again, elevations of the north facade, existing of the east, proposed of the east facade. And another illustration of what that will look like, that structure will look like. This is the planting plan that was submitted. Staff's comments were to make sure that the structure, or how did the structure relate to this planting plan, and that we wanted to see the structure on the planting plan. This was submitted late and copied to you all. I'm including it in case you all want to consider it. But this is the structure, the awning structure. Again, the palms are set to coordinate with that structure. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you, Chris. Chris, do your comments, specifically comments 1 and 3, are those still valid, or are those different with the new plan?
The only plan that changes staff's comments would be, well, I'm sorry, give me a minute, please. 3, this responds, the submitted landscape plan responds to 3, and staff would remove that requirement, and there would only be 2 conditions, those being to provide a dimension site plan. And the reason being, I want to make sure that there's a dimension on those planters so that there's no argument what they are going to be when they're installed in the field. And 2, provide a physical color sample of the awning structure, both the structure and the canopy. At this point, staff is not clear on what those colors are, so we would need to see those.
Okay, so landscape sheet 4.00 and 3.00, all those plans seem to have dimensions on it. Are you looking for different dimensions? Or am I looking at something different? Keep going. See, those have dimensions. That sheet had dimensions. And then keep going backwards. And there's some dimensions up at there's dimensions.
Okay, these are the old approved plans. I included those for your reference.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I don't want to confuse the issue here. Um, hold, give me a, uh-huh. Okay, my apology. I see the dimension here. So yes, that would answer that.
Okay, so you're
That would answer the
satisfied?
cement site plan. I'm satisfied. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Just wanted to, so I'm sure that question would have come up. All right, thank you, Chris. And I see Gretchen's online. Gretchen, would you please introduce yourself, and do you have anything to add to Chris's narrative?
Hi, Gretchen Fisher with MJM Architects. I don't think I have too much more to add. I know that one of the staff comments was physical samples of the awning structure and the canopy itself. Unfortunately, those samples were coming from China and we did not receive them in time. But it was understood and agreed upon with the tenant that the awning structure supports itself would need to be a anodized bronze to match the standing seam metal roofing and the storefront that's throughout the shopping center. And I believe the awning, the canopy structure or canopy canvas material was intended to be like a cream linen color.
Okay, thanks, Gretchen. I also see some, Paul, if you would introduce yourself, and do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm Paul Ansel, East Coast Development Company. I'm the broker for the landlord. And at this time, really don't have anything additional to add.
Okay, great. If you would both hang tight, and we're going to go through the order. We will consider we'll accept the plan that you sent on May 7th so that we can hopefully wrap this up and get you guys out of here with conditions for approval. So if everyone on the board would please take into consideration the site plan that we were given. And I think particularly that's going to be a lot to do with Judd and David. So if you guys have any concerns about it, let me know. But otherwise, let's proceed with that. And let's start with Mr. McAllister.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In general, I was in agreement with staff's comments. There were, it sounds like a lot of that has been resolved. I like the new landscape plan. I got a chance to look at it. I think it's much improved, and I don't have any landscape comments. I think the verticality of the palms and having the live oak on the corner helps a lot. So no landscape comments from me. I did have just a couple questions about the structure. How will the retractable mechanism work, and what does it look like when it retracts up to the building facade? Is it going to be boxed in, or can you kind of describe what we should expect there?
There are some renderings. They may not be super easy to see. I did not select the awning structure personally. It was a selection that was provided by the tenant design team. So I unfortunately do not have a cut sheet for how that structure looks like when the canopy itself is retracted, but it is certainly something that I could request and provide.
Okay. I mean, the rendering, like that image that's shown there, I mean, that looks great to me. Just if we're going to see something, the retractable mechanism, I think we just want to see what that is. So depending on how the rest of the board members feel, we may need to see like a section or a cut sheet or whatever the product is.
Okay.
And of course, we will want to see the fabric color. And really the only other question I had is in regards to the glassed fence. I'm just kind of curious what the intent is behind the glass fence. Just being that it's right there on, next to the parking lot, is there, and I guess in my mind, I was thinking that, maybe you would want some separation, but visually, you're not going to have that buffer from the parking lot. So I was just curious what the intent was behind the glass.
I believe initially it was to, better define the patio area itself. I think that the fencing had been proposed before we added the additional landscaping, which I think now is also providing a lot of definition to the perimeter of that patio area. I don't know if they intended on having any sort of gates. I don't believe so. But it was just part of their kind of initial concept was I think it's maybe a frosted glass railing just to define the perimeter.
Okay. I'm not inherently against the glass fence. I think in my mind something solid makes more sense, but I'd like to hear what other board members think about that. But otherwise, I think it looks nice. I just think we just need to see some of the color samples of the awning fabric. And I think the structure, the canopy structure matching the bronze roof, I think will be nice. That's really all I have.
Thank you, David. Mr. Karstens.
Thank you, Chairman. I just have a quick comment on the landscape plan. I'm with Mr. McAllister as far as the glass fence and its kind of role in this thing, as far as if it's even something that's necessary, if that hedge was done properly. And also, I'd recommend specifying an overall clear trunk on the palms versus an overall height. 18 feet seems a little excessive, especially if we're trying to kind of encourage a streetscape with this, since we are bringing this area that's relatively open now up to the edge of the sidewalk. And knowing that further down to the south in this complex, the building canopy is right on the road edge. So knowing that if we're going to try to continue that edge and bring that up without an actual structure, that those palms want to be at a similar height. I don't know. Chris is going back to, yeah, you can see where the jewelry store ends, and then the idea of having something along that sidewalk, since we're not replicating that treatment as they've done over by Fresh or Oko, or even down by Street Meat. We're kind of changing this treatment, so it'd be great to have the palms feel more like a streetscape element. I'd really like to know, when it comes to this trellis feature, if the shade structures are retractable, we're going to need to kind of know the housings and how those runs work as far as the tracks. The attachment of the trellis to the vertical wall, how's that going to be done? Because I think the renderings just show a smooth connection. I'm sure there's going to be some level of connection. I don't know if I can speak for the architects on the board, but oftentimes when we get structures, we get a lot more details when it comes to a wall section and such. So I don't know if we need to see that before we can approve. The concrete is called out in the site plan. All of the walks in that complex are exposed aggregate. So I'd be very careful in either trying to match that, or if these are dining patios, if you want to suggest something that delineates this dining area from the rest of the walkways and sidewalks within that complex, I'd be open ears on hearing the thought with that. And then finally, I see, or I guess I should say 2 items. I see signage in the renderings is underneath the shade canopy. With that complex, there's the signage is up on, the front of that, that walkway canopy. I'd be interested in kind of seeing the area that you have for the signage. And then it talks about in the notes there on that A801 about the illumination of this. If you illuminate those signs underneath that canopy, you're going to get a lot of reflected light, depending on how that treatment is done. It'd be kind of interesting to see the overall lighting plan for these patios, knowing that they will get nighttime use and that the shoebox fixtures from the parking lot won't cover all the lighting, and maybe even the lighting from the buildings wouldn't necessarily satisfy. I did see in the one rendering too, you can see in that picture on the corner of the building above the fire hydrant that there's a fixture on the exterior wall there. So if there's lighting fixtures that are looking to be proposed, we're going to want to see what that's all about also. So again, I've got questions as far as the structure, the trailer structure, its attachment, the lighting, site lighting plan, and then just the function and finish of those shade structures as far as, if they're retractable, how that all works. So I've got a few more questions than answers when it comes to an approval for me. Just knowing that oftentimes when we see structures and we see the level of complexity, and this is a refined product, a very clean looking product, and it is a departure from the rest of the complex, that we want to make sure that those details associated with that patio are really worked out. So unfortunately, I don't necessarily have any questions. It's just I have a lot of comments when it comes to what I'm seeing. So thank you.
Thanks, Chad. Ms. Slipper.
Thank you. I think the concept of this project and the 4 restaurants are great for the plaza and for activating the site. I completely agree with the comments I've heard thus far. Connection details, wall sections, exactly what you've been hearing. I'm going to add to the list of questions because to me, I guess, whether it's emergency entries/exits, any lights at the seating area, fans, heaters. If there's any objects like that, we need to see cut sheets to be able to see what we're really going to have. Absolutely agreed. The housing of the canopy and how it connects needs to be seen. I think the signage, although that's under a separate approval, I totally agree, knowing where it needs to go. With the glass railing, I still have the question, and I'm going to kind of toss this back to the landscape architects on this, maybe of how that patio is going to drain. At least it looks like it's going all the way to the ground. Perhaps it's assumed that it's raised off the ground. Gretchen, can you answer that?
For the fence itself,
Yes.
I would not, the glass, my intention would not be for the glass to go all the way down to grade, that it would stop short so that drainage could occur off the side.
So again, that's just a detail we would need to see. Hearing that it's intended to be frosted glass, I think we would need to see a sample, need to see whether it has a metal frame, goes all the way around. I would like to see a little bit more slide of sill heights and head heights being aligned both around the corner, and also a storefront system and folding partition system, notations that those heads. And then I'm going to throw a bit of a wrinkle into it and see how the rest of the board reacts, which is, I know we like our sloped roofs and awnings and canopies, whether instead of this being a square L, that part that actually has the retracting canopy could be on a slope to be more in keeping with what the board typically approves as far as having sort of a sloped structure. And I don't know, Gretchen, it sounded like you weren't entirely sure on the details, so I don't know if you know if that's an option of this retractable canopy system.
I don't right offhand, but I can discuss it with the tenants designer and see if that's an option for it.
Okay. Hearing the canvas color as being linen has me somewhat concerned that likely we will come back and say that that is too light, but of course we need to see it. And then there's one more minor comment on the resubmit of LA 1.00. There's a corner of the sidewalk that on the other drawings is said to kind of create the transition, but the landscape plan makes it out to be a square planting bed. So just getting that coordinated. That's all I have as far as sort of seeing what the rest of the board still has to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Annette. Mr. Molesky.
Yes, thank you. I guess the first comment here, it might be consistent with the board's comment. So it looks like along the side where all the entrances are to these multiple restaurants there, I guess some of the plan views there do show the sidewalk and then show, I think we found the dimension there, a plus or minus 7 foot dimension of some landscape planting in there, I think with some, I don't know if it was boxwoods and nandinas and all that kind of stuff. And then I didn't notice it on the renderings. So I guess I just wanted, confirmation that yes, that 7 foot buffer will exist, because I think that's important, and just kind of softening things up. I guess landscape drawing LA 1.00, I guess is where I saw that buffer right there that has the plantings in there. I guess iris and holly and all that kind of good stuff. So that will definitely stay, I guess, is what I'm hearing everybody say. So that I feel that's important. As far as the glass rail goes, I agree with what you guys are saying. It doesn't necessarily seem to fit in here. I don't know, not to play a designer here, but maybe like a flat rail, 3/8 inch thick by an 1.5 inch wide, running horizontal. That's also in that dark bronze color. Might still, create that separation so people aren't necessarily running from a seating area out onto the street, and it's still open to allow breeze, because when you have that glass, you kind of cut down on any opportunity for any breeze. And that might be something that maybe we're more accustomed to seeing in this area here. And I still think it would feel very, modern or contemporary, or whatever the correct word is, and fitting with what you have. So I would throw that out as an alternative to the glass. And just like you guys were saying, at first I was kind of struggling with it, and I have to thank you for providing the renderings, because boy, the renderings helped me out a lot with really getting your vision. So I think this is pretty cool. The only thing that I would throw out, and I don't know if this is what staff was alluding to, but the islands that are found, just off the drive area, that kind of like where the parking lot is. There was a couple islands there. It was shown in, I want to say A801 perhaps. I don't know if there's any intention of, right there. In fact, that picture we're looking at there, the bottom left-hand corner there, in those islands, we see a lot of lower plantings in there. I don't know if between Judd and David, if there's any merit to adding, again, I'll say a live oak, just because it kind of paints the picture, not something that's a palm tree, but just something that begins to make this not feel like it's just a bunch of asphalt, and something that kind of softens things up a little bit and creates a little bit of canopy. I don't know if that would only enhance this overall experience, because it seems it's very much an outdoor place to enjoy. And when you're sitting there and you're just looking out on nothing but asphalt and cars, I don't know if having some some trees in that immediate island area there will just kind of break it up, mask the parking lot, mask some of the cars, SUVs, trucks that are parked there. So that's just kind of a comment I'll throw out to the rest of the staff and board members to see if you see any merit in that. Otherwise, I like it a lot. I'm glad that I like the flat part there. It seems to kind of break up some of the monotony of the of the little hip roof that's running around the other areas. So thanks for your efforts on this. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
I'm sorry. Just in response to your comment about those islands, I don't know, Chris, if you can pull up the previously approved landscape plan. They did not end up showing up on the landscape plan associated just with this patio submittal, but on the previous DRB submittal, it had been requested to do some landscape upgrades on those two islands. So we do have, I believe, a couple of palms and some lower ground cover, some hollies, I think, shown on those islands as well. So there is that. I think the intent would be for that portion of the previous DRB submittal for that landscaping to remain.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that, and I guess I don't know if everybody would just kind of request that maybe that's all included on more of a comprehensive landscape plan, so everybody knows what has been promised. But yeah, that helps out a lot. I think that just creates nice separation between the parking lot and the dining area. So thanks for sharing.
All right, thanks, John. Ms. Rumpke.
I did have a question about the lighting for this patio. I know that we touched base on it a little bit a few minutes ago. I heard a reference to some box lighting. I'm not really seeing that. Where is that?
It's in the parking lot.
Oh, so the lighting that's in the actual patio area, if they're dining there in the evening, what is the lighting for that area?
I will be honest with you, that is not something that the tenant had brought up at this point. So currently we had no lighting planned out there right now.
Okay. And then my other comment, I actually like the clear glass wall as opposed to something that's not a clear glass. I think that it kind of brings the landscaping view into the diners, and maybe it makes it feel a little bit more like a garden area. And I would like to see that glass remain the way it is and not be frosted. I think it gives a very clean, contemporary feel to this area, which is what I see with the rest, with the storefronts and whatever the furniture is going to be. I assume it's going to be quite contemporary. And I think it would just be something that's unique, first of all, to Hilton Head. And then I think it'd just be a very pleasant dining experience to sit in there and see all that landscaping. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Debbie. All right, looks like it's my turn. Makes my job easy. You guys pretty much covered everything. Gretchen, I think I'm gonna just, one of my jobs is I kind of have to measure the comments of the board, and you've been through this. So, and I don't think you'd have enough votes to get a clear pass here. So I think I'm going to recommend that you withdraw, but I would like to make a couple comments also before. We do need to see a lighting plan. I assume they're going to have some lighting out there for evening and nighttime dining. So we'll need to see that, along with any heaters, fans, fixtures. If there are lights, how are we going to conceal? Where will the lights go? I assume they go on the walls, or are they concealed in these in the structure of the canopy? We just need to know that. That's a very important thing. Signage, signage is a separate submittal, it would be good to know what the plans are for the location of it. If you're going, even if we don't know what the sign looks like, where it's going to be, I think that's important. We should have a wall section through one of those trellis elements, how it connects to the building. Yeah, that was another good point somebody brought up. The housing for the shade, that can be a cut sheet, but we need to know if that, if that housing is white, a lot of those come as standard white. Can it be painted? Is it a box? We just don't know. We need to know. We'll of course need the color samples. I'd say you're probably safe with the anodized bronze. As Ms. Lippert pointed out, the cream linen will probably get scrutinized, but we will need a sample. And I might suggest you have an alternate in your back pocket if that doesn't make it. That will help expedite things. I think it's great what you're doing. I think everybody agrees with the big picture. I got a brief preview of this in a total informal, non-committal setting. And it looks like since I saw it that you took great lengths to get things to line up. The spacing of the canopy elements with the storefront and all that lines up nicely. I think it looks great. I think it'll activate that side of the plaza way better than a big blank wall will, and that ugly pavilion that's going away. So I think all that's great. I'm 100% behind that. There were a couple of landscape comments. If any of them weren't clear, I saw you taking notes, but if any of the landscape comments weren't clear, you'll have a chance after this to ask a couple more questions so you know what to come back with. And I'm torn on the glass fence. I would like to see what it is, I guess. It's something different. I don't know that I've ever had a glass fence come through for approval. So I'm, pun intended, I'm sitting on the fence on that one. You might be safer with some sort of painted metal rail that goes with the anodized bronze structure that still lets you see through and see the plantings and everything. Or do you even need it? It would be another question. I'll let you all weigh that with your prospective tenants and come up with a solution and bring it back to us. But we'll need a handrail detail and a sample of the glass if that's the direction you're going. And if you go a different direction with a metal rail or something, we'll also need a handrail detail, please. I think everybody was mostly fine. We can do this with a show of hands. Annette brought up the slope. Everybody fine with the relatively flat? I am. I think it's more of an attachment element than a part of the building. If this were a true colonnade or something, we might want some slope in it, but good, thumbs up. So I think you're probably, David, where was your hand, up or down? Up, okay. So I think you're probably in. Debbie, I can't see your thumbs. So
I don't think I have that option on my phone, but I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you're good with the structure. Just show us how it's attached. Give us a few more details. What else have I missed? I think the lighting was a big thing. Cut sheet of the housing, fabric samples. Other than that, did I miss anything? Anybody that was pretty big? And so, Gretchen, would you like to ask any other questions? And then when you're finished, it'd be my suggestion you withdraw. But for the record, I would like Chris to explain to you what a withdrawal is versus a no vote.
Gretchen, this is Chris with the town of Hilton Head. By withdrawing, you preserve your ability to come back at any time. If you get a denial, you're prevented on coming back to the DRB without substantially changing the project for a full year. So the chairman has said he doesn't feel like you've got enough votes on the board to get an approval. At your convenience, whenever, I just need to know how you wish to proceed, either to a vote or to withdraw.
Well, I really appreciate everybody's time today and all of these comments. I think there's some very valid items, and I will go back to the tenant with these and review. And in light of all of the comments that we did receive, I would like to withdraw the project today. We will get some additional details together, some of these items that y'all requested to see, and we will come back soon, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I think you're there. I think the big picture, you're fine. It's give us some of the small picture, and
Understood.
And we'll get everybody. We'll get you out of here. Any last questions before you sign off? Are you good?
No.
Okay.
All
right.
good.
Well, Gretchen and Paul, we appreciate your time, and like I said, I think it is a total benefit to the plaza. I go there all the time as I visit all the restaurants there. They're a great place. And I think that big blank wall going away is wonderful. So let's do what we can to get this thing going through next time. Okay?
Okay. Thank
All
you
right.
all.
Thanks.
you.
Thanks for your time. All right. So we will, after the withdrawal, we'll move on to board business. Anyone? I don't believe we have any board business. Chris, is there a staff report?
Just a couple items. Number one, I do not have a minor corridor report today. Number two, I would just like to remind everybody of the board training requirements. You need 3 credit hours. It's a state law. With the pandemic, we have been lax on getting those, but you have several options available. There are YouTube videos, and I believe Teresa has provided you with a link. They are, for the most part, an hour and a half each. You need to watch 2 of them. You can turn them on, watch them, and multitask. But let us know which ones you've watched and that you've watched them so that we can get you certified. This is for the entire board, and this is for the previous year, starting in June of last year. Are there any questions?
June of 20 through June of 21, you have to have 3 hours. Okay.
Yeah, yes, sir. That's correct. It's actually July 1st of 20 through July 1st of 2021.
And Chris, any learning units like we would do from an AIA luncheon would qualify?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. They work, AIA works. Unfortunately for our landscape architects, I don't believe ASLA works. So as an AIA, just send those credits in to Teresa and she can get that certified for you.
Perfect, thank you.
Elitist architects.
My thoughts exactly.
Yeah. That's not fair. I'd raise a stink, David and Judd, if I were you. So.
I think I might have an AIA credit somewhere, so.
Oh, there you
I'll
go.
look into
That'll
it.
help. I guess I could tag on to this conversation, Chris. Who's retiring at the end of June? Me and Debbie?
You and Debbie are retiring at the end of June. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I do not have, the town council has started the interview process with prospective board members. That's all I know.
Okay. Right. Anybody else? No, I'm sorry, Chris. That's it for the board training?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, then. We will, oh, somebody say something?
Quick question.
Oh, Debbie. Okay.
Since we're retiring, do we have to take our 3 credits?
Yes, ma'am. Again, the credit is for July 2020 through July 2021.
So if I don't take my 3 credits, I get fired?
It's
You
a
don't get your
state,
gold watch.
it's a state
Dishonorable
law.
discharge.
Oh, okay.
You will
State law, thanks.
you will not get your plaque. So,
Oh.
Again, it is a state law requirement. And so if we don't maintain, if the town does not maintain the education on their, with their board members, it becomes an issue for the town.
Gotcha.
okay.
All right.
Everyone
I'll
everyone
capitulate.
is officially encouraged to get those done. All right. So with no other business before the board, meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.